Hello, this is editing process Cole. I decided to throw in the pictures at the beginning of the video instead of the end because most people aren't going to see them. So they're going to be at the beginning. I'm still going to put the ones that I prompted, but if I say anything about that, like about them being at the end or something, just ignore it. Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fun Time Podcast. It's been quite a bit. I think it's been like 3 months or something. So, sorry. There's been a lot going on. Didn't have people to record with or anything. Didn't really have the time or the content. But now we're back with a season 2 again, but episode 4, I believe. I could be wrong, but that's what I think it is. This episode, of course, is going to be about the NH trip, as you can see from the title, but also a little bit about Black Widow and Forever Purge. There will be a little bit of spoilers for both of those, so I'll give warnings when that's going to happen. But before we get into it, I got a few things to go over. Obviously, like and comment. Let me know if there's anything you want to hear about and all. Also, there's going to be some like footage and photos mixed in from the trip with this video. So if you'd like to see any of that, you're going to have to check out the YouTube video. I'll put that in with the link on other stuff. And obviously, if you're on YouTube, you're already here. So you'll be able to see it. So, um, nothing really new with me. I've still been practicing the guitar and stuff. I'm working out a bit more. Uh, at my 6 month anniversary with my girlfriend, yes, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. I don't know how I almost forgot that. It was 2 days ago. That was when we saw Forever Purge again at the West Wind Drive-In, I believe, whatever it's called. So there's that. We also saw Black Widow at the Red Rock Casino Galaxy Theater, whatever it is. I think it's actually a Regal, but I'll discuss that later. So first up with the NH trip, which was mainly for my youngest brother's high school graduation, and to show my girlfriend around New Hampshire and Massachusetts because she's never been. Obviously, I remember what we did, and I have it written down here, but I don't remember the exact days or the order really that we did most of it because it was just hanging out and stuff. So I could look through my photos and date everything, but I'm not going to go that hard. So saw some friends I hadn't seen in a bit. Saw my boy Nick, Garrett, who I think you might know from I think it's Garrett is Beast is his YouTube channel. I'll put a link for that in the description to check out. But we saw him, saw Nick, hung out a little bit. It was a good time because it's always good to be with the boys. I didn't get to see any of my high school friends or anything. Did get to see my friend's brother who's also graduating, so that was cool because I've known him for a long time, so that was good. But the first few days I was there was mainly to be with my family because I hadn't seen them in a bit. So I wanted to spend time with my mom, my dad, my brother, obviously, the one I haven't seen because Carter's with me. And oh, I forgot to mention he's back now, so he should be in some episodes if I can get him to be involved. We'll see. Um, One of the things we did was go to Canopy Lake Park, which is a theme park in New Hampshire. I'll throw up a picture here, so I'll make a note of that for myself real quick. It's not huge. It's not like Six Flags, but there's a few cool rides, and I grew up going there, so it was cool to take my girlfriend there and go for my brother's graduation. Funny thing was, I used to be really good with spinny rides, like especially compared to a lot of my friends. A lot of them just did not like doing them, didn't either couldn't handle it or just didn't really prefer them. It was really my thing because I'm afraid of heights. I don't do that. I don't do big rides like that. So this time around though, not being in a few years, I don't know if it's that or just getting older, but I could not handle a lot of the same shit that I used to go on. Like it was a struggle to be on this ride called the Turkish Twist, which is I can't remember exactly what the type of ride is, but basically it's a cylinder and you stand against the wall and it spins fast enough to hold you against it and then the floor slowly drops. So it's like, hello, sorry for the interruption. My throat gave out saying that last statement. So as I was saying, the floor drops and you kind of just stick to the wall and it spins around. I was not doing well this time with it. It was real bad. I didn't puke, but I honestly felt like I was going to, and that's never ever happened to me. and then that continued to happen for the rest of it. So that was fun. But I did also go on a ride, which for some reason I had never been on. For a combination of when I was younger, I didn't like the height, even though it's not that high, and I didn't really feel like getting wet or waiting in a big line. But it's this thing called the Yankee Cannonball. It's just a really simple, like log flume kind of ride where you go up in like a stupid theme park version looking of a boat. That statement made no sense, but you know what I mean. And it just goes up an incline, takes a turn, and then drops back down to the water. And the part of it is if you're standing in the area, which is supposed to be like old Boston, next to the ride, there's like a splash zone for it because it is a pretty big splash. But I did that. Um, waited around for my girlfriend and my two brothers to go on a ride that I will admit I'm a baby and did not go on because I don't do heights. And I met a kid who was also doing the same thing because his friends wanted to go on it. He didn't. So we had a little conversation, talked, didn't see him again. So that was kind of cool. And my favorite ride, sorry, was this ride called the Technodrome or Psychodrome. Technodrome, I think, is either a movie or something that I can't put my tongue on right now. But it's basically one of those. It's got a crane arm in the middle, and there's three, or I think two of them, and there's three or four arms with seats on them that spin around all about each other, and it's in the dark, and there's techno music and flashing lights and stuff. So that was cool. And then the end of the day, as we're leaving, my brother decides now he wants Dole Whip, so we gotta go across the whole fucking theme park when it's all hot and shit to get in line for that. And everyone was getting angry and shit, but then my girlfriend got the rum Dole Whip, so that kind of obviously helped a little bit. And the funny part was it said that there was like you can't take alcohol beyond the area we were, and obviously because it's Dole Whip, nobody's checking, so it was right out with that. So that was cool. Everyone shared a little bit of the Dole Whip, and then we were on our way. So that was about that for the day of Canopy. Um, I can't remember when exactly after. I think we just hung out and stuff. One day we went fishing. I thought we were gonna go not as far into this river or forest that we were going to. I don't know why the fuck I said river, but my brother and I guess it was really my brother, but I'm not gonna get into that. But he didn't inform my girlfriend of the environment we were gonna be walking in. So she's wearing Birkenstocks and gets blisters pretty fast, I guess, because she's not used to walking a lot in them. So she's upset now because she's got blisters, which sucks. And I've got Carter being like, whoa, whoa, so it's whatever. But we fished, and I've fished in this spot before with my friends, and we've caught maybe one or two fish at the most each visit because we don't usually stay that long, and it's not a huge pond or lake or whatever. I'm pretty sure it's a pond, but we go there and this woman catches like she caught like 4 or 5 fish in the span of like 45 minutes out of this pond that I'm usually never getting them that fast out of, and I have no idea how she's doing it, and it's just happening. And then I'm over here with tweezers trying to get the hook out, and the thing keeps slapping me, and I had to have Carter do it, and then Carter's covered in fucking fish juice and like oil, so he smells lovely. So that was a good one. Um, she ended up snapping the line, so we had to go, and then we just headed home and chilled out for the rest of that night. The other days were really just either hanging out or there was Caden's graduation, so we went to that, and because of the heat, they moved his graduation time like an hour back. And this is prior to the parade, but we don't really need to get into that. That was just a bunch of stupid nonsense because it was a fuckload of cars driving through one small area of the town, and it was really ridiculous. But the thing was with this, I almost said funeral, graduation, is that it started at I think 7 or 8. I can't remember. I really was just like so zoned out because it was so hot and humid, and it was such a long walk from the parking lot to the graduation thing because the school he goes to has been around for a while. It's somewhat of a regional high school. It's more like a thing where it's kind of a private high school, but if you live within the town that it's located, you get to go there for free because it's just a high school. But if you live in other places, you're going to have to pay whatever their ridiculous tuition might be. But that's besides the point. Jeez. School's big, school's old. Uh, they were on a football field, the football field for the school, and the way back, which is across the street from the school, and then all the way at the back. So it must have been like half a mile, maybe even no, it's not. It wasn't a mile. It was at least a half mile though walk, and everyone's like dressed up nice, and it's humid as shit. And my girlfriend's got blisters, so she's upset she's gonna walk that far, which is understandable. But then we get there, and it's just it keeps going and going forever. And I'm gonna put a picture in at the end or just right here actually for this specific part. But they had those big floodlights on the field, and it looked like snow, the amount of bugs that were just around this thing. And with the humidity and everything and how many mosquitoes there were, it was just a mess. And we were there for so long. I don't think we got back till like 10:30 or something. And then we were supposed to like do a thing after and like hang out for him and shit. And then everyone just crashed because it was so late and everything. And it was just, yeah, not a good time overall. But clean my glasses real quick because I'm looking at stuff and they're gross. And have a drink of water. Um, yeah, so that's about it for the graduation. Uh, we hung out obviously other days with people again, Nick and Garrett and stuff. But the other big highlight was taking my mom and my girlfriend to Salem, Massachusetts to look at stuff like the museums and shit. I'll put up a few photos starting now, so let me pause this and take a note for myself. I had lived there, obviously, not obviously, you wouldn't know this. Why do I say things like this sometimes? I lived there for a little bit as a baby, so I wouldn't remember it. I've seen pictures, but it was a way for my mom to kind of hang out with my girlfriend and I, and her to see a place that she hadn't been in a while, and for my girlfriend to see where the Salem witch trials were and all that nonsense. Not that it's nonsense, it actually happened. I just say things. So we started out, parked at a parking garage, obviously, because we had driven about hour and 40. I don't remember, fucking something like that. But walked out, went to the Salem Witch Museum, which was really cool. Basically, it's an interactive tour. I need water. Not interactive, I should say. There's quote unquote animatronics at the beginning when you sit in a church that was one of the old ones from the 1600s or whatever. Sorry. And there's a narration explaining the trials and everything and how like hysteria and misunderstanding and people being ridiculous led to all of it. And lights like I almost said floodlights, like stage lighting kind of things, like the lamps, whatever the fuck they're called, focus on individual animatronics that are not animatronics, they're just like statues, and those things are a part of the story. So as he's talking or narrating it, it'll go along to what you're being shown. But it was like obviously not very high quality because the animatronics didn't move or anything. But after that, they lead you into this area that's like a guided tour of like this stuff they have on walls, like murals and old artifacts and stuff, which is cool. And then they explained how like witch hunts occurred through history and still do. And they used some examples that were really cool, like how like the AIDS epidemic, the witch hunt was like targeted at homosexual community because people didn't respect them at any reason for that time, or at least a lot of people didn't. So it was an easy scapegoat because people were afraid of AIDS and they didn't understand it. So people made shit up to hurt other people and ostracize them to make themselves more comfortable. And it's terrible, but it is a good example of how these things still occur. And then after that, we went to the gift shop. Great transition from that, right? My girlfriend got a couple cool things. I got this cool fucking 2-ounce shot glass, which I might take a picture of and throw it in right here. So let me make a note of that. Then we walked around a bit and looked at some other stuff. I'm going to put a lot of those pictures at the end in a little montage I'm going to do. But yeah, we saw the memorial stones, not the graves, but we were next to an old grave site from that time, which is cool. But there was all the things to memorialize all the people that were killed, like Giles Corey, who was the guy who was crushed to death. If you, I'm not going to talk about that story. You can look it up if you want, but basically he was crushed to death over like 2 days because he didn't want to have his family's land taken away from him. So that was cool. We saw a lot of cool shops, cool older buildings, obviously. So that was a good time. Then we ate at this. Hold on, need some water. It was a cute little like hole in the wall Thai food place. It was cool. It felt like being in someone's home. It just the food wasn't spectacular, like for even like corner of the street like Thai food standards. But maybe it was what I got. But yeah. After that, we went home. It was a real good day. I hadn't been able to do anything with my mom in a while and hang out with her because she works a lot, and it was cool to be able to do that with her and my girlfriend. So that was nice. Um, those are pretty much the highlights of the trip. Not much else was really a big deal that I would think to mention. So with that, I guess we can move on to talking about Black Widow. That was the first movie I saw in a theater since the pandemic started, so I was really excited for that. We went to the Regal at Red Rock Casino in Las Vegas. Hello, I edited out a burp. Anyway, yeah, Regal Casino, Red Rock Casino, the Regal Theater. Nice theater, lots of space. Seats weren't amazing. They were okay. They leaned back, which was nice automatically. There was a guy and his girlfriend behind us that kept talking the whole fucking time. Like my girlfriend and I heard at one point. I don't know if you've seen it already. It doesn't really matter, but it's because it's in the trailer. But David Harbour plays the guy who's the dad, quote unquote, of Natasha and Florence Pugh's character, Yelena. And at the beginning, they show him younger because it's a flashback, and in the following scene, he's just how he looks currently. So a little bit more aged because they either physically de-aged him or used makeup, but they did something. He has a beard now, but obviously still the same guy because it had the scene had either just passed or it had been 5 minutes. And this dude's girlfriend goes, "Is that their dad?" And I'm trying to contain myself from freaking the fuck out because it's like I try not to get on people for being like that, but it's so obvious. And I was talking to Carter about it, and he said the same thing about the guy talking. He's like, we were both like, you had all of pandemic to sit around and talk through movies without there being people around, and you're choosing to do it now. And Carter's take on it was like the Batman thing, where he's like, he's not the douchebag we needed, but the douchebag we deserved because he felt that way because he's the social douchebag warrior or something. Just made a new one. He feels like he needs to be the guy to be bad. So that's it. Discussing the actual movie. The only good scenes to me really were the big action set pieces. I mean, obviously there's some good like interpersonal stuff, but I feel like a lot of it was rushed. Like they didn't have time, but I think a lot of people would agree this movie felt a bit like an afterthought. Um, there is like parts where there was some thing falling from the sky. I'm not going to explain it if you care and you want to see it. The individual fights are pretty good and violent for Marvel. There's a scene where Florence Pugh is attacking someone and just stabs the shit out of her, like real good. I was pretty surprised to see that in a Marvel movie. Um, like I said with the family thing, like there's scenes where the dialogue is obviously like there and it's good, and there's some good family building stuff, but you don't really feel like that attached to it because it gets shoehorned into random scenes. Like they make it flow right. I don't mean shoehorned in a way that it's like all of a sudden we're here, but it's more like it's shoehorned in a way that it feels like they had to get it somewhere because they didn't have the time to really develop it well. So that was kind of frustrating to me, seeing it was to me the stronger point of the film. Florence Pugh is probably the best part. Her and David Harbour, both very funny in this movie. I've heard some stuff about some of the things that Florence Pugh said that were quite funny were actually improvised, so that's good. Um, I quite enjoyed her in Midsommar. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, you definitely should. But now is where we're gonna do a little spoilery shit. So if you don't want that, I'll put up a thing for when to skip. Editing process Cole here again. Skip to 22:55 if you don't want to hear about the Black Widow, should I say. I'll go back in and put it in right here to tell you when to skip, because it's a podcast, obviously. Okay, so there's this thing where Taskmaster, who we've seen in the trailers, ends up being the daughter of the guy who runs the Black Widow project, which is, and Natasha's goal, Black Widow's goal, and everyone, like Elena and everyone's goal is to stop that program. His daughter was killed, quote unquote, by Natasha when she needed to see her enter this man's office to know he was there in order to kill her. So her whole arc is thinking that she killed this 9-year-old girl, finding out she didn't, and then coming to terms with that, and then apologizing. And that's who Taskmaster is. She's the little girl. The little girl. I don't have a problem with any of that. Sorry, my phone just went off. Let me mute that. I don't have a problem with them really changing any of that, because obviously, um, comic book storylines change all the time, characters change all the time. It'd be boring if it was the exact same thing with a comic. But the thing was, they didn't really talk or anything like that. And I mean, I think that maybe it was I can't remember if there was a modular voice or something, but that would have been fine to hide that it was a woman. But usually Taskmaster is quite like mouthy, kind of like a dickhead version of Spider-Man. He just kind of talks a lot about himself and how good he is and all that. None of that was there. There was no dialogue coming from them really. And on top of it, when Natasha ends up, because there's this crystal dust they're supposed to be using, or some, I don't know what the fuck exactly it is, but they use it to break the mind control that the Russian dude put on all the Black Widows to make them do whatever he wants and all that shit. And when she uses it on that, when Black Widow uses it on Taskmaster's character, she obviously comes out of the hypnosis, asks if her father's gone, and kind of like lays over, and she kind of looks like she's dead, but she's not. They're gonna take care of her. But it just seemed like a really abrupt, like, okay, here's the resolution. She's good now, and there's no conversation with her. She's just gonna go off. And then she can't be Taskmaster now, right? So what my guess is, either they're gonna find some weird way to make her Taskmaster again, or they did some cheeky bait and switch thing where this person's Taskmaster for this movie, and then they're gonna bring in the male one, because originally the character is male. So I don't know, maybe not. But David Harbour again, I guess is kind of a spoiler. Doesn't really do anything but crack jokes. The prison escape scene they had was kind of cool. He like breaks a dude's arm when they're arm wrestling, which is pretty rad. And then because he's just beating a whole bunch of people at it. And then they escape. It's pretty cool. There's this really stupid joke where he's not in shape anymore, even though I feel like someone that has superhuman strength would be getting in good shape in prison. But whatever. But he like has to squeeze into it, and he's like, "Oh look, it still fits." And that's basically all he does is he's like, "Haha, I'm funny." But at the beginning of the movie, he's the one that gives Natasha and Elena away to the Russian dude whose name I don't care enough to look up, and send them into the Black Widow program. So I don't know why he then becomes the haha person. Like they could do that after he's actually made up with them, and then he can fight with them, but they don't do any of that, and it's just kind of frustrating to me. But I guess that's enough for the spoilery shit. I guess overall, I can't care too much about what happened in this movie because Natasha's dead, and I felt like it was kind of a weird place in the timeline to put the movie. Um, Overall, I guess I'd probably give it like a 6 or something, but I don't. I just didn't. I wasn't a huge fan of it. The next thing we'll go to is Forever Purge, I suppose. I saw that with my girlfriend the other day for our anniversary because she wanted to go to the drive-in, which is kind of our thing. So we got some sushi, then we went to the drive-in. There wasn't really anything. She said she would have, after the fact, she said she would have picked Escape from whatever the Champion Edition, whatever the fuck it's called, because that would have been at least more entertaining. So that tells you something about Forever Purge. I paid so little attention to this movie that I'm not going to offer you anything in terms of any sort of. I know the Black Widow thing wasn't really in depth, but I have less to say about this. Like, it was so boring. There was shoehorned political shit, and I know that's become a staple of it now, but I feel like it's gotten even worse. It was just so fucking bad. Like, I can't even, I saw it like 2 days ago or something. I can't even remember how it ended because I cared that little. It was so not entertaining. I did not, it just was bad. It was purely bad. I don't have anything else to say. I'm going to keep repeating it if I don't stop myself. The movie, don't see it. Bad. we kept looking at the screens next to us because there was just like, oh, this person's doing this now. Let's shoot this guy. It's fucking, who cares? Fuck that. Fuck the Forever Purge. Yeah. So that's all I got. I'm thinking about doing some like in-depth videos on like mysteries and shit like that and weird science stuff. So if you got this far and you're interested in that, let me know in the comment section or tweet or something. I'm gonna put a cool little video, not video, fuck, photo montage with some videos, I guess, at the end of this. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you got this far, I appreciate it. I know it's been a bit. I know I also don't have a lot of viewers, but I appreciate what I have. So thank you, and I'll hopefully see you next week.